Happy Halloween, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another episode of the Spectrum Show. My name is Spencer, and this is Jackson, and we've got a truly terrifying episode for all of you. But first, we need to stop getting spooky and get back to reality, or should I say, timeline, perhaps.
I don't really get that. Indeed, Spence. In this episode, we'll be discussing Sony's recently released Marvel film, Venom: The Last Dance, but we also have a very special guest joining us today. Specifically, one of our original crew members is saying farewell.
So that being said, we're going to take a quick break and then get ourselves into our Spectrum of Opinions discussion. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Welcome back, everyone. We're the cast of the Spectrum Show, and it's time for our Spectrum of Opinions discussion. This time, we'll be discussing the recently released film from Sony and Marvel, and the final film of the incredibly popular Venom franchise, Venom: The Last Dance. Acting like they're not going to make more of these. So, Spence, what are your Spectrum of Opinions on this movie?
For once, I think we actually have the same opinion, which is unfortunately not a good one.
I did not like this at all.
Yeah, I was not a big fan of this one, surprisingly. And that's the thing, because I enjoyed the first two films, but
I know
this one just didn't have the it factor. But before we go into specific details about the film, I want to address something that is that's a little bit of a surprise, to say the least. And it's the fact that the fan base of this film seems to be pretty divided. Like a lot of people are saying it's the best of the three films. And the other half are saying it's like the worst of the Venom films. I think we're on the latter of the two for sure.
My friend who likes the Venom movies a lot, even he doesn't like this one as much as the first two, though he still likes it.
So he's in the middle, basically.
Yeah, he seems to be in the middle.
Okay, so
it just seems like there's a lot of differing opinions on this. I know someone who cried at the ending of this, and me and Sean are still kind of surprised about that.
I think I can see if they were going for that, but it's just it didn't feel like a satisfying ending, if that makes sense. But anyway, I think we need to discuss what happened in this film, which I'm going to be the first to admit that's pretty hard to determine. But
okay, so
in simple fashion,
I'm going to do my best to summarize this film's plot.
Because that's hard to do.
After the events of Venom 2, everyone thinks Venom and Eddie killed Patrick Mulligan is his name?
Yeah, Detective Mulligan, yeah.
Yeah, Patrick Mulligan, the guy who is the Toxin in the comics. Because Carnage killed him, and everyone thinks Eddie did. Mm-hmm. So after Eddie defeated Carnage. So now Eddie and Venom are on the run after their quick excursion to the MCU reality, Earth 19999. They are back in their universe, and they are being hunted down by a special forces operation run by the U.S. government. I straight up, I don't know why, but I thought the leader of that, Strickland, was in the last movie. I didn't know he debuted in this movie.
Yeah, he definitely debuted in this film.
I just assumed, who is this guy? Shouldn't he have appeared in the last film?
Nope.
No, I guess I was wrong.
Aren't we all sometimes?
So Strickland and his crew are based in Area 55, the secret based under Area 51.
Yeah, real original name, by the way.
And they have more symbiote stuff down there. And it turns out the main thrust of this plot is Venom and Eddie, due to dying while bonded and coming back to life, have something called a codex in them. Now, in the comics, a codex is something you simply get by bonding with a symbiote for a decently long period of time.
Yeah.
And, that's the plot of the Absolute Carnage event, where Carnage is trying to build himself power, so he's hunting down all the codexes, and there's, a joke in it where it's okay, how many of us were actually bonded to a symbiote with all the superheroes in one room? Raise your hand if you were. Everyone raises their hands, and they're like, well, we're screwed.
Oh, that's in the comics, right?
Yeah, because so many people at this point have bonded to symbiots. That's the joke of it.
That's actually a very good point, actually. But
and, I just find that really funny. Anyways, the Codex allows Null, the god of symbiotes, it allows his minions to track them. And it could only be tracked as long as Eddie is fully merged with Venom, in the main Venom form we see in these films.
Which is, honestly, it's looking back at that plot, it's simple, but I don't know if it's too simple or not simple enough, honestly.
Honestly, my main frustration with it is that Venom goes from, Eddie, I can't fully form around you because of the Codex, later in the movie, to, oh, don't be mad at me, Eddie. I just want to dance with Mrs. Chen in full Venom form. I don't care if we get spotted.
It's a little inconsistent, and it's
a little inconsistent.
You know what I mean. But it just feels like a road trip without being. It just feels like the whole thing is very odd to say the least, and that's me putting it nicely.
Oh, I love a good road trip thing. I did not like the road trip in this at all. It just felt extremely disjointed and had no ultimate goal.
Even though it very well, it definitely looked like it was trying to.
It was definitely trying. Speaking of things this movie was trying to do, can we talk about Agony?
Wait, which one was Agony?
Agony is the scientist lady who gets the purple symbiote at the end.
Oh, yes, yeah. We should probably address some of the characters.
That is the most baffling character origin I've ever seen in a comic book movie.
Yeah,
I was floored.
Honestly, but in the sense that, like, I think it was trying to be sad, but it wasn't really achieving that as well as it wanted to.
The premise of it is that, like, she and her brother were on the beach. Her brother wanted to be a NASA scientist. They were on a scientist that worked at Area 51.
Yeah, and
they were on the beach one night when it was thundering out, and somehow him holding her hand when she gets struck by lightning caused her to only get struck in her arm and him to get the full force of it. I don't understand how it works.
I mean, maybe there's science behind it, we're just too stupid to understand.
And then because of this, her arm doesn't work anymore, or like that arm doesn't work anymore, and she works at Area 55. And then in like the last 10 minutes of the movie, she gets bonded to a purple symbiote with lightning powers, and it somehow miraculously fixes her arm, which is a subject I'm not going to get into because
technically the symbiotes can't heal people, technically speaking.
But yet this symbiote just did.
Isn't it? But that.
Anyway. Wait, I thought you said symbiotes can't heal people.
No, I said they can.
But yeah, still though, very questionable use of that concept.
Yeah, it is a little interesting, but not to say it's not possible either.
I still find it funny that for Fortnite this season, they added Agony and She-Venom as skins, and they're in the movie for a combined total of 5 minutes, and that's being generous.
Yeah, and I will. I'm just gonna say we need, but moving past all the story elements, we need to talk about the cast, because I think even though it's a questionable film, it's a solid cast of people.
Tom Hardy was way more obnoxious as Venom in this one compared to the first two. I'm sorry.
I would probably agree with you on that.
I don't know why. He is just talking way more, and I hate almost everything coming out of Venom's mouth. I just want him to shut up.
Or at least find a balancing act at the very least. But anyway,
God, man, can you please
chill for a little bit?
Chiwetel Ejiofor is punching way above his weight in this movie. I just kind of feel bad for him.
So you're saying, like, just so we're on the same page, you mean like he's just not like can you explain?
So Chiwetel Ejiofor, for anyone who doesn't know, he got his start in the Oscar-winning movie 50 Years a Slave.
No, I know.
12 Years a Slave.
Yeah,
12 Years a Slave.
And some of you guys might know him in the MCU as Baron Mordo, actually.
God, there's 2 comic book roles, and he's been shafted in both of them. Oh my lord.
But anyways,
this man needs to find something to do outside of Marvel movies because they clearly are not working for him, and he keeps getting bad characters. Anyways,
or that should be good.
Yeah, God.
But anyway,
the hippie family I also found insufferable. Was there an actor's performance I liked in this movie?
I will say, moving on to some of the other actors and actresses, Juno Temple played the scientist who became Agony. Who else? There was obviously Cristo Fernandez played the bartender who we saw in No Way Home, if you guys remember.
Okay, he's the one. He gave a decent performance. That's one character.
It was a redo of a performance.
That's one actor. That's one actor's performance I liked in this movie.
And by the way, Cristo Fernandez is actually going to be in Sonic 3 apparently. I don't as what that role is. I don't know.
Might be Omega. We'll see.
I disagree on that.
Oh wait, no. Actually, the real thing. Maybe he's Vector.
I could see that, but
if they said chaotics, that'd be funny. I'd like to see that.
But that's a topic for December.
Moving on back to the bad movie we are discussing.
Yeah, and I will say and obviously what's his name? Steven. What's his name? You know what I'm talking. The guy who plays Patrick Mulligan. You know what I'm just saying. I'll put that on screen.
I still can't get over what they did to that character.
Yeah,
he's set up as the big villain at the end of Let There Be Carnage, and then he dies. It was a big setup basically. I was bored at that point in the movie, so I was just browsing on my phone, and then he dies, and I didn't see it. It was that quick.
But I will say, Toxin did not look like Toxin from the comics. He's like more of a turquoise color, and granted, Toxin has some blue in him, but not that kind of blue.
No, Toxin has not really blue. Toxin is red, black, and green.
Right.
He's predominantly red with black and green accents throughout him, and a green tongue, which stands out a lot.
Yeah, and we didn't see that. I mean, we kind of saw the green tongue, but not like.
My one futile hope is if Toxin is still alive, the symbiote, they could do the current Toxin in the comics in this in a future movie, and that'd probably be a better movie than most of the other stuff Sony is making right now.
Yeah, but also I should have.
That's why I brought this.
And actually,
book,
before we get to the
Toxin's in
last major casting, I do want to bring up something that's kind of important. They pretty much retconned what happened at the end of No Way Home. Like they basically, I think all the entire symbiote came back to the Venomverse, and not that little piece that stayed over in No Way Home. It came back, I think.
I think they're still. I choose to believe they're just going to ignore that in Spider-Man 4 and just say a part of it is still there anyway.
that would be pretty gutsy right there.
It won't be gutsy. It's Marvel ignoring something Sony set up in one of their movies. I don't think anyone at Marvel Studios really cares about what Sony is doing over in their universe. They just play ball for Spider-Man rights. That's it.
But that being said, I think Kevin Feige did have a bit of a hand in some of the films, I think, or at least it was like counseling or supervising. I think.
I swear to God, if Spider-Man 4 is a follow-up to this, and we have to see Tom Holland go up against that horrifyingly CGI'd Andy Serkis Null,
yes,
I'm going to just.
They're knowing them, they'll improve upon it.
Destin Daniel Cretton, please save this movie.
I mean,
you have nothing working in your favor.
He did Shang-Chi, so that's beside the point. But
I'm hoping he can make this work, but I'm scared he won't.
But yeah, point
literally every odd is against him right now.
Yeah. As I was saying, folks, Andy Serkis is Null, which on paper that's a kind of a good casting right there.
It should have been Topher Grace.
Really, I mean, that would have been cool, honestly. I will say
it genuinely should have been Topher Grace. Like, there's like novel. I know there's like a lot of novelty castings, like Henry Cavill should play Hyperion or Captain Britain in the MCU.
Which I could see.
I genuinely believe Topher Grace should have played Null. Null I know is kind of supposed to look freaky, but also in a way he should have a bit of that like he could have a bit of that pretty boy energy, and it probably would make sense.
I'm sure they can probably fix that.
It's Topher Grace. He played Venom in the Raimi movies. You could get a lot of people in the theater because of that.
Yeah, that honestly brings up a good point, because if they brought back RDJ to do Doom, I mean, they can easily bring back Topher Grace.
This one would make like 10 times more sense than RDJ as Doom, because the character already tied to symbiotes. Like, you could just, and it's a completely separate universe, you could just have the actor be Null in this universe and just say it's like a cute little reference to how in the original films, Spider-Man films, he played Venom.
That I actually, now that you've put it like that, I actually would really, really like that, honestly.
Also, I just kind of want to see Null be a pretty boy. I don't know why. I just find it funny.
We're not gonna go there. So.
Okay. Yeah. Well. But yeah.
But yeah. Honestly,
there's so much more I could say about Venom 3. The inexplicable Christmas character. The fact that half of a good chunk of the movie just takes place in Vegas and nothing really happens there. The fact that when we got to the climax of the movie, I thought it was like the middle of the movie big fight scene instead of the actual final fight.
I will say that
it just doesn't feel like a final fight at all until
But it felt more real than the rest of the film, I will say. To an extent.
God, the movie does just feel completely unreal for the first 2 quarters, and then in the
for lack of a better
2/3, and then in the third, it's just a normal movie that is kind of bad.
I mean, I will say, for lack of a better term, the first 2 acts were kind of a fever dream.
God, they really were, and not even in a funny way.
And
I know my co-host Sean disagrees. He honestly thinks this movie is pretty funny in like a similar way to the first 2 Venom movies.
I mean, which I can see why.
And again, he also disagrees with me in thinking that the first 2, I like genuinely think the first 2 Venom films are like good. He thinks they're bad, but he enjoys them.
I'd agree. I would agree with you on the latter of those things. But honestly, like, I think this should have been a lot better. It's just such a shame that they dropped the ball on this one.
I was joking as we left the theater about like Tom Hardy looking at the script, going, "Who wrote this?" and then seeing, "Oh, I wrote this."
But didn't also Kelly Marcel have a hand in
Kelly
writing?
Marcel, she also wrote it. She worked on the previous 2. I don't know what happened here. Maybe
and she directed it too, apparently.
I feel like that might be part of why. I'm sorry, Kelly Marcel. I have nothing against you as a person. I don't think you can direct. given this movie.
It was her debut, so cut her some slack.
A lot of other directors have debuted with much stronger films than Venom: The Last Dance.
Well, yes, but like
Also, she's been working in film in other roles for quite a while, so I'm
Really?
just genuinely.
Surprised.
I mean, she did screenwriting and stuff for the first two. She's been around for a while.
Yeah, and her writing is it's not the best, but it's at least acceptable.
Her writing in the first two movies. Now I'm just thinking about another grievance I have. I'm sorry to bring this up, but just why wasn't Anne Wang in this movie?
Yes, that's a good point. Why wasn't Michelle Williams in this film?
One of Eddie's 3 character arcs that none of them come together is that he wants to live a normal life again, and the symbiote is kind of keeping him from that. But like, why doesn't he reunite with Anne at the end? That would be the obvious answer.
I was actually a little surprised that they didn't bring Anne back into this thing.
Just have say they can meet up again.
That would have been a better last post-credit scene right there. That would have been
Bring
amazing.
Anne back as She-Venom. It would have made more sense to have She-Venom in this if you had Anne again.
I would have been that would have been for lack of a better term.
in the movie for 5 seconds.
But I will say, having Anne at the end would have been for lack of a better way of putting it, a somewhat of a saving grace.
I wouldn't have just liked her at the end. I feel like she could have played a sizable role in this movie.
And they just that was a missed opportunity.
Her and her boyfriend I really liked in Let There Be Carnage. Actually.
Yeah, I would agree with that, honestly.
I actually like how after the first movie, they're kind of on rough terms with Eddie. They've kind of become his friends by the second one. But it's just her boyfriend is kind of just a token straight man in the middle of all this going, oh my God, what are we doing? What is all this alien goop nonsense?
Yeah.
And it's just him being horrified as Anne and Eddie Anne is keeping him alive and Eddie is doing the big fights.
Yeah,
What I'm saying is you should watch Let There Be Carnage and the first Venom movie. You should watch those.
If you really want to, but I will say, if you really want to see this one, because someone told you good things, we ain't stopping you.
We ain't stopping you, but you might regret it.
Yeah, but it's your mental funeral. No. That sounded really dark there. I mean, this is a Halloween episode, so what do you expect?
Anyways, while we're here, we actually have some Venom comics on display.
Yes, that's a good point.
Shown off from me and my friend Sean,
who you might know from some of the other episodes.
This is the Donny Cates Venomnibus, which collects the entirety of Donny Cates' run. It is where Null debuts as you see from the movie. Null debuts in this run. Is where a lot of important modern Venom stuff comes from. The codexes are in this run, everything like that.
Yeah, you know what's speaking of Null, I think didn't Andy Serkis direct the last film?
He did. I think he was the strongest director on any of these. Personally.
I'd agree. And I don't see him directing much. Too.
I like Fleischer in the first one, but also his style felt a little basic. Whereas Marcel just felt wacko insane as a director. I feel like Serkis is the one who struck the best balance of the two.
I'd agree, but back to the comics.
This is the current Venom run, which is actually about to relaunch soon, written by Al Ewing and Ram V. The premise of this follows Eddie and his son, Dylan Brock, who is also introduced here, sharing the Venom mantle. This is a throwback mini to the 90s Venom Lethal Protector series.
It looks like a 90s cover right there.
The deal with Lethal Protector is that it directly inspired the Venom Sony films because this was the first time Venom was active as a superhero, but also an anti-hero type superhero. The movie version of Venom where he's kind of a jokey anti-hero type who still eats people, but is kept in line by Eddie. If you want to read that in comics, this is where you get it.
And last but not least, we also have Planet of the Symbiotes.
This is just a tie-in to King in Black, which is collected in here. And the only reason there's 2 reasons I brought this. One, Null looks nice on the cover, and he's on the cover of the Venomnibus. And 2, this has Toxin in it, and I'll say it again, I really like the current Toxin in the comics. It's actually a 10-year-old kid whose dad is a guard at Ravencroft.
Oh, really?
Ravencroft being the Marvel Universe equivalent of Arkham.
Oh, I didn't think of that actually.
His dad's got a guardsman suit, it's kind of a bootleg Iron Man thing, and is
cool.
And it's protecting this prison. Whereas his son is kind of this insecure, kind of tough-natured kid who's secretly bonded to a really deadly symbiote who he has to keep in line. And I really like the kid's name is Bren Waters. I really like him. He's actually involved in this run too. So if you want to learn more about him, start here and then jump here.
Yeah, I hate to break you, Jackson, but we need to wrap up. We've been rambling on way too long about
I
Venom.
thankfully think I've gotten everything I wanted to say about Venom 3 out.
Oh, thank God.
My personal review is don't watch it.
Yeah, I would say if you want to watch it, go ahead, but I don't recommend it per se.
I'm the one saying don't watch it.
Well, yeah, I mean, you said that about Knuckles, too,
No, I like Knuckles more than this.
Well, yeah, okay, but
Knuckles had moments of joy.
yeah,
Knuckles had that episode with Pachacamac by Christopher Lloyd, and that was just perfect. That was a good episode.
Yeah, but
nothing in Venom 3 rose to that level.
Agreed. But anyway, that's besides the point. I think we're about done with today's Spectrum of Opinions discussion, but don't go anywhere, because coming up next, we have a very special interview with one of the originators of the Spectrum show. We unfortunately do not have that musical performance that we promised you last time. That will probably be in November now, so stay tuned.
The Spectrum show will be right back.
Welcome back to the Spectrum show, everyone, and it's time for a very, very special interview because we're sadly saying goodbye to an OG member of the team. So that being said, our guest for tonight is a very dear friend of mine who is truly one in a million. He helped me develop the idea of the Spectrum show and is one of my co-hosts during the pilot season, and now he's currently in development on his own podcast called Spectrum Supporters, which debuts towards the end of the year on YouTube. Ladies and gentlemen, please give a warm Spectrumatic welcome to Preston Keenan. It's great to see you again, Preston, especially back at our studio again. It's just crazy to think about. Does it feel weird being back here?
It does feel weird being back here after so long, just because the last time I was here, it was before the summer. It was because we went it was in May. May is the last time I really directed the show.
Yeah.
And then June, July, August, we were at Massasoit. And then we were out, and I was out after that.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy to think about. And now, for those unaware, I usually prepare the questions ahead of time, but considering this situation and how this is Preston's last episode, I thought we would just have a casual, heart-to-heart conversation and just really get deep into it this time and talk about your experience with the Spectrum and walk down memory lane a little bit. So,
yeah.
How does it sound to you?
What's different?
Yeah. Well, sure. Yeah. What's different about the whole thing? You know?
I mean, from right now, in the past few weeks leading up to this, I've been working on my next chapter of my life, which is the show I'm working on, and then I'm also working on the on next steps in my life college wise.
Yeah.
So like I'm doing campus tours, open houses, focus on school, so I make sure I have the grades to get into those colleges.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah. And does it and I know we just talked about this, but does it feel bittersweet to be back on the set for one last time?
It does feel weird because again, I've been here since the pilot season.
Yeah.
I'm the last OG member, other than yourself, to be in front of the camera.
Yeah, it's so weird to think that the team is completely different now. It just
Yeah.
It kind of doesn't feel real in a sense, but
Yeah.
But you know what? We think all good things come to an end. But
I mean, yeah.
Oh, and honestly, it's just I'm glad that we were able to do this. But also, you need to tell us a little bit about Spectrum Supporters. What's that about?
So, it's what I've learned. I've done some research. This is like a midnight idea with my mom. So we were just sitting on the couch, watching a show, just thinking, okay, nothing. Like anything that we would say, we would just think. No thought process, no nothing.
Just speaking your mind?
Exactly. And then my mom, I'll admit, she was a little tipsy on wine.
Oh, God.
But I had this idea of how about we make a show about the supporters of the Spectrum community, autism Spectrum community, because it gets underappreciated and the spotlight goes to the actual person with the disability, not the people that help them get to that point.
That is a very interesting point. You never really think about how much support they get in some cases, and they are incredibly important to the whole process. I would say, because I'll be the first to admit I had an aide for until freshman year, honestly, of high school, and then when I went to high school that you were at, we went to.
I was there first.
Yeah, you were there first, absolutely. But honestly, the fact that I had no aid at that point and I thrived there, like that really shows that
Yeah.
how much support those people can do. It's like unbelievable.
Yeah.
I do have to ask you though, like are there any particular memories that you have from being on this set? Did memories come flooding back?
No exact memories in the case of what you're thinking of, but just the full, like, from having this TV be like a slideshow you put on in front of the studio table, we signed a bunch of stuff, to now where you're wrapping up season 2,
One.
or sorry, season
It's
1,
okay. It's okay. It's okay.
and getting ready for season 2. Like,
Yeah,
that's crazy.
Yeah, and it honestly feels very, like, and obviously you're gonna know this too. But when you're in a different studio and you're, especially I think we knew this when we were filming at Massasoit too. But when you're in a space outside your own, it just doesn't feel like.
It feels like you're the visiting team.
Yeah, and it feels weird. Like
Yeah.
it just feels like, and
Yeah.
as you can attest to this, podcasting and hosting shows like this, it's the greatest thing in the world. It's one of the most fun things to ever do.
That, and you meet a lot of people.
You absolutely do.
Like, I've not planned this out fully, but I've been working on making it a radio show. So 1, 2, 3 cameras. Nope. Microphones, headphones,
Just purely
and
audio.
just
so.
talk and stuff like that. Because personally, I don't want to be on camera as much as I have been, because of the
I see.
fact that I do want to change my looks and stuff like that.
Fair enough.
And the in-between process that will take years is going to take a while.
Yeah, and not to mention, like, with, and you know this too from from you directing the show, especially, like, with talk shows, like, you have to, you do like a certain amount of time and then you have to cut and then do another segment.
Yeah.
It's just, and it feels like
That,
Out of pace.
I hate how choppy that kind of stuff is.
I agree. Actually.
So this is one of the things I want to capture on my show, is that it is going to be start to finish. So we do the intro, that will pre-record, reuse that every single episode for consistency, and then the actual part of it with the actual guest, all one take.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes there probably are exceptions to that rule, but I will say,
Well,
like,
no, actually, there's not, because
not even for a special episode.
special episodes, hell no. The point
Really?
of the show is to show the imperfections, and if you edit the imperfections out, what are you left with?
I guess that is a good point, actually, but it also kind of works because we're only talking for like what, 30 minutes tops.
Yeah.
You get to talk to people for at least an hour, at least.
Yeah, and that also means that I have to have a full-on notebook, and if I do this long enough, I'll get multiple notebooks,
Yeah.
and when I'm done, and I hopefully have a bigger fan base, I'll be able to auction them off and be like, Gravity Falls it a little bit,
That's
and
cool.
paint number 1, number 2, and them actually be like time machines going back to like the very first episode.
Like written time machines, yeah.
Exactly, and that'll be full of like notes from like,
And
say if you
memorabilia.
go on, I'll write down Spectrum Show. Boom, that's in that notebook, and that notebook now has
Everything in.
everything that I'll ever need for the show in it.
Yeah, that is crazy to think about, and honestly, the fact that you took the initiative and you're like really trying to get something great off the ground, especially
Yeah.
for a community that does not get enough love and attention that they deserve. Like,
There's not a
That-
single podcast, no radio show, no nothing about it.
I mean, there are ones focused on the people with disabilities, but not enough for the supporters, like you said. But like, it really feels. I just want to say, like, I think what you're doing with this is fantastic. I think you really have something special in the works.
Yeah, and what's also good is that maximum, I need only myself.
Yeah,
I can put it together, print it, send it, all myself.
Is there a particular platform you're aiming to put this on?
As you said, Spencer, we're gonna
I
mainly
mean-
be
I mean,
on
like,
YouTube, but
But are there any others?
we'll be mostly YouTube and most likely through Massasoit's radio station, so we can still use their systems like you guys do.
Yeah.
Is like you guys have to like send it to these guys so they can put it on
Absolutely,
TV.
yeah. And do you have any interest in doing like, I don't know, Spotify or Sirius at some point?
Maybe down the road, but right now I want to start small. I want to start controllable, and YouTube is very controlling it's controllable right now,
That is
especially being
true.
a student. And another reason why it's a radio show, not a podcast where there's cameras, is because again, like in my life, like I'm going to be changing schools hopefully in the next 2 years.
Yeah.
And then in one of the schools, I didn't tell you this yet. I don't think I told you this yet, but one of them I have an opportunity to go to another state, either New York,
I think you did actually tell me that.
DC, or California.
Which is insane to think
Yeah.
about.
And
Was
it'll
it-
all like, and it'll be 12 credits, all that in a bag of chips.
Yeah,
It'll be
w-
awesome.
Which of the 3 of those locations would you prefer to go to?
I mean, LA has the best amount of resources for my major.
I would agree with that, but I mean,
And you didn't let me finish
oh,
there.
yes, of course. go
That's
ahead.
good for my major, but the other two, DC and
New York.
New York, have Amtrak stations. For like, say for instance, hey, you can take Monday off. All right, I'll go over,
So-
take the Saturday train from there, go over to South Station, get on a commuter line.
Yeah.
Boom, I'm home for the
Yeah.
weekend, or that end of Saturday into Sunday. Have all Sunday. Monday I'll go over. I'll not overnight, but I'll like do a little later so I can
Yeah,
enjoy family for 48 hours.
that's a good point. Yeah, and I will say maybe this is just my view on the whole thing, and I don't know how you feel about this, but I feel like New York or DC would be my preferred choice. I think
Yeah.
because LA is like it's kind of an illusion in California, but then you could also argue that New York's an illusion too. I guess.
Yeah, I mean,
Same with
the only thing with LA, the only reason why I'm like saying LA is a good idea as well as everything else is because there's so many opportunities. I could be working in Paramount Studios for all I know.
yeah, Paramount,
stuff
Warner
like
Bros.
that.
And it's just really cool too. Like,
Yeah.
it's a cool place to visit for sure.
Yeah, and that school, can we say school names? Or no, not yet.
I don't. I think we should leave it under wraps for now.
Okay.
Leave it surprise. I think.
Okay, so this school has a lot of good alumni. One
Oh.
of them is a sideline reporter for ESPN.
Okay.
Another one is the manager of Paramount Plus.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so there's a lot, and there's real estate license. There are a bunch of stuff that is massive, massive, massive stuff. And they
And-
went on from
Yeah,
there
and
to
it's not just film
see-
and TV too. It's also like
real estate.
music.
Music, yes. Music is definitely a big part of my life. It's gotten more recently since I have more on,
Yeah.
but after the semester's over,
It's gonna be weird.
it's gonna be weird. It's always weird when the semester ends.
And it's
You've not known about this because you're not in I think it's a 3-month break, then going back for another 3 months for a 3-month break or something on those lines.
I mean, technically speaking, I'll be on a long break in March at that point because my thing is my time at school is coming to an end soon.
yeah. So that's coming up.
It's a disability thing. You guys wouldn't understand.
Yeah.
And
So, yeah.
it's gonna be weird. It's gonna be weird, but it's also very exciting. I think for the future for both of us. I think.
Yeah. So, what do you think? So, why am I leaving? Truly, I think that's the biggest question that we've not attacked yet.
Okay. What as in what's the reason that you left us? Is that,
Or leaving.
or leaving?
Because
Well,
right now I'm still here. Hi.
yeah. I feel like you should do the honors of explaining it because I feel like I would not do it justice.
So, after Massasoit filmings, I'll admit I realized how much I had on my plate for the upcoming semester, on top of work, on top of finding a new school to go to, not because I have to, but because I really want to get away from my family. I love them to death, but I have to get away from them.
Just need some time away.
Exactly. It's been 20 years with them. And I realized it is very draining coming here once a month, even just once a month, because it is,
Whole
Like-
travel process.
yeah, it's a full day. Like, you can, like, I'll tell you, take today, for instance, I'll use times exactly. I got into a 120 train out of Stoughton, all the way to South Station. Got on a 240 train out of South Station to Framingham. From Framingham, I took a scooter ride all the way from the train station to here, and now I'm here.
Yeah, just out of our location, by the way, but that's okay.
Like-
it's all good though. But yeah, I think I definitely remember it being a big struggle for you for the transportation, and it's not very cost effective either.
No, it's roughly, I'm not going to put exact numbers, but it's
A lot.
half of my budget for traveling to work is
Yeah, that's
getting here.
absurd to think about.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think the fact that you can do something a little closer to home, I think that's not only best for you, but I think it's best for all of us in the sense that like we can all make our lives easier in the sense.
It's also the fact that it's very, the days that we'd be filming would be Fridays normally.
Yeah, and
So I would be going from work to school to work, and the Spectrum show meshed with that, and it did not work because I was super tired
It's way too
on
much.
that
Yeah.
Saturdays.
I agree that is absurd, and we definitely want to make it easier for everyone here at the team, of course.
Yeah, and I couldn't see a way where I could have kept being a part of the show, and not made it closer.
I
Because
100% agree with
I'm
that.
very
yeah.
far away from you guys, so if I make it closer to me, it'll be a big travel cost for you guys,
Absolutely.
and then so on and so forth. It's not easy. It's difficult, and I wish I had other ways, but I don't.
Yeah.
But we're still friends, right? We're leaving off a good terms.
of
We're
course,
not
yeah.
going crazy.
Yeah, and not to mention, like, we hopefully can do some other stuff on your side in the future.
Yeah,
Maybe even, and like, who knows? Maybe we can do another project in the future at some point when we're older.
Down the road, yeah. Again, like down the road, I have thought this out, and I'm not gonna say it yet because this not even like I'm not even graduating. I hate college yet. I said
Yeah.
graduate college, get my stuff sorted out, get my priorities in check. But yeah, I feel like the next couple months will be crucial. It'll be really
Agreed.
fun, but crucial for me to continue on.
Absolutely.
And because of this, I'm now able to get more involved with school and stuff like that.
yeah, and anything that can make the experience
Yeah.
better for anyone is always a pleasure to
Yeah.
do, honestly. And I hate to say it, but as much as I'd love to keep talking to you, we have to wrap up because we've been going on for quite a while now. So, are there any final thoughts you'd like to say before we wrap up?
So in the next, I want to say 3 to 5 episodes, or sometime in March or April, you'll be on my show.
Yes, that is true. I mean, we'll have to we'll give you more details on that when the time comes. But
Yeah.
anyway, thank you so much for taking some time out of your day to speak to me today. Honestly, this was such a blast. Honestly, but when we come back, folks, we're gonna wrap up the show, and wow, I just can't say enough kind words about how amazing that was, Preston. So don't go anywhere. The Spectrum Show. We'll be right back. Preston Keenan, everybody. Well, Jackson, I don't know about you, but I had a lot of fun with this episode. What do you think?
I certainly had a lot of fun ragging on Venom 3. And of course, massive thanks to Preston for joining us for one last appearance. Give him a round of applause, ladies and gents.
Yes, well done, Preston. That was absolutely amazing. And you've had some amazing time here at the Spectrum Show, and we love every bit of you. So that being said, we hope you guys enjoyed this episode as much as we had making it. If you did, feel free to leave a like, a friendly comment, share this video with your family and friends, and subscribe to our YouTube channel with notifications on so you don't miss any of the content that we put out.
Also, be sure to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Threads, Instagram, and Twitch. Join our Discord server and become a member on Patreon for just $1 a month. Also, keep an eye out for our upcoming Snapchat and TikTok profiles, which we plan on releasing in 2025. Thank you all so much for watching, and until next time.
Wait, hold on a sec. Did someone turn off the display here?
Huh, that's weird.
Who did that? Because I'm going to just say this right now. If whoever turned off the logo is going to have a serious word with me.
Perhaps this is you getting what you deserved.
What? You're not supposed to be here.
Ah!